Hey guys, what's up? It's a dose of vitamin Z and I'm back with another video. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to avoid imposter syndrome, and I wrote out a list that I basically tried to bring it all into one compact unit so that you can use this whenever you want for reference, or whenever you start to get that little weird feeling in your gut where you're starting to question yourself, your confidence is low, your self-esteem is low, and you need to pick me up, or you need to remind yourself that you deserve to be here just as much as anyone else. So first and foremost, a great way to learn how to get through and push through imposter syndrome is to remember why you're there. And it seems so simple, but a lot of times once we've gone through the schooling, all the years of homework, assignments, and all that stuff, and we get out on the other end, we're graduated and we're well into our careers, delved in deep, we kind of start to lose sight of what brought us to this specific job initially, and that is a lot because of workplace politics, co-workers, higher administration, the ins and outs that goes into working in a specific job. A lot of times we start to see that the world that we were exposed to while we were in school isn't the world that we're exposed to once we get out into the actual career field. And that's because people aren't perfect, and a lot of times things don't really go as lawfully as you think it would, which is sucks, but that's the truth. Once you start to experience that uneasy feeling in your gut where you're starting to question yourself and wonder if you're even worthy of being in the position that you are definitely deserving of, you should remind yourself why you're there. If that means you have to take a second, step out of the room, step out of the office, go to the bathroom, or just take 5 deep breaths, or just look at yourself in the mirror. Remind yourself what pushed you to even get into this profession to begin with. Why did you have this passion to begin with? What did you want to accomplish when you got into this field? Remind yourself that you are your only you. You are the only person that can ever be you, and you're offering something unique to the table that no one else can offer because they are not you. Tell yourself, I am here because, and then finish the rest. Number 2 on the list is to rediscover your voice. Okay, now this is something that I wish I could have reminded myself a lot more often of while I was in my school program. A lot of times I felt like my voice went unheard, or I didn't speak up during certain times that I felt like my voice could have actually made a difference, or could have actually offered a different perspective that the majority wasn't thinking about. There were times where I felt like I shouldn't speak up because I didn't know if people would understand me, or I didn't know if people would, concede with me. In retrospect, I kind of silenced my own voice. So if I could go back, I would tell myself to speak up, open your mouth. It's very important to always understand that your voice is unique, your voice is different, and even if you chime in and reiterate someone else's point but say it in a different way, it doesn't matter because you said it in a different way. So if one person didn't understand that one person's way of saying something, then you offered another perspective or insight that allowed that whoever said person to understand. Now, this is just a minuscule example out of the grander scheme of things, but in general, rediscover your voice. If you're in a work field or in a workplace and you're having your business meeting, your group meetings, your meeting rundowns and all that stuff, and everyone is expected to speak, or everyone is allowed to speak and voice their concerns or opinions, if you have one, don't shy away from it because you feel like that might put you in a jeopardizing position, or that might put you in a vulnerable position where people are going to start looking at you differently or start keeping a keen eye on you. At the end of the day, the world changes didn't become who they are from lying on their back or remaining silent. I hope that's not too vulgar, but in general, I'm just saying, hear your thoughts, hear your opinions. Don't let your thoughts indefinitely bounce from one side to the other in your brain without ever making sense of them. If you have to sit with yourself in silence to really purge your mind, or just really get into the nitty-gritty of your thoughts and their deeper meanings, then do that. But make sure that once you find that meaning, that you voice what you feel like deserves to be heard. Respect is gained, and even if you end up being that one person that's very outspoken and always speaks their mind, at least people understand that you are that person. Number 3, this is something that I always used to do: positive affirmations. I think most of us know, the 5 love languages. Different people give love and receive love in different ways. So one of them is words of affirmations, and that's basically just wanting to hear that you're doing great, wanting to hear that you're on the right path, wanting to hear thank you. A lot of times we talk about the love we give others, but we also have to very much so remember self-love. And the same way there's a love language that we like to give and receive from others, there's a love language that we like to give and receive from ourselves. And I think words of affirmations or positive affirmations is one of those love languages that majority of us should have, because when your inner voice and when your self-image is healthy and positive, that ends up breathing the positive energy that you give out to the world. So write those notes on your sticky notes and place them all over your wall. Whatever you have to do to just read something and just basically to uplift yourself, do that. Positive affirmations is a very important thing, and you'll be surprised how quickly your mood can change by just reading something that you wrote to yourself because you truthfully believe that about yourself. Number 4, I think this is very important more so when you're in the schooling process than when you're actually out into the real world. But don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It's very important even when you get out into the real world. I'm just saying when you are in a very structured and small community that is your classroom, it becomes even more important because there's not that many people that you can run to in that classroom. This one is to find a core group. Now, when I say group, I know there's like so many definitions of it, but when I say that, I just mean 2 or more people. So if your group is you and one other person, that's perfectly fine. What this means is that when you find 1 or 2 people that hold similar beliefs as you do, it makes getting through those hard times, getting through the trenches a lot easier because you have someone that you can basically use as a sounding board to get all your thoughts and frustrations out, and you can come out on the other side feeling a lot lighter and a lot freer. It does make navigating that specific world a lot easier because you won't feel as much of the odd man out as you are feeling once you realize that there are other people that do operate in a similar fashion as you, people that you can always hang out with, people you can like associate with inside and outside the classroom. Number 5, the 5th way to avoid imposter syndrome is to remember that you are your biggest competition. I'm sure we've all heard that quote that says, I just want to be better than I was yesterday. And that's so important. You have to understand that you are in a league of your own. It doesn't matter if you're going into a very saturated field. The only thing you should ever worry about is how to be a better you than you were the day before, the night before, last year, 2 years ago. And keep in mind that you should always look at your progress. And when I say progress, I don't mean like the big progress is like getting a promotion at work. I mean the small progress as well. Like you waking up and getting through the morning and then being able to reply to all your emails, whereas yesterday you were only able to reply to 50%. Always remember that you are your biggest competition, and the only thing you have to worry about is yourself when it comes to progress. And this is very important to remember because you will never be able to walk in someone else's shoes simply because you are not them. You don't know what they did to get to where they are. So it's always important to just look at your journey as something that is unique and one of its own, because as long as you are making sure that you're staying on code, you're staying on that straight and narrow path, you're making sure that you are getting to your goals daily, then that should be the most important thing to you. Number 6, practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. If you start to feel like you're getting imposter syndrome, open your book, get on Google, and read. Read, read, read. Make it a habit to always practice things. Make it a habit to always read up on things. Make it a habit to always be a better you, to learn something more in your field of study, in your field of work. The more skilled you are, the better of a practicing professional that you are. If you feel uncomfortable with something, the best way to get through that discomfort and come out on the other side and feel more comfortable and more assured of yourself is to practice. Just so you guys know, I'm not listing out any of these in any particular order. These are just different points that I wrote out. Number 7 is to understand the impact you will have on this field. And that impact doesn't have to be very large. It can be on one client, one patient, one customer. Just knowing that you are doing well, that you are putting good out into the world should help you feel better, or it should help you sleep at night, because you'll understand that even when you are doubting yourself, there are other people who are looking at you and seeing your worth and seeing the goodness that you exude and that you give to others. So the next point, it kind of goes in line with what I said earlier when I said to rediscover your voice, and that is to speak up and ask questions. If you don't understand, say you don't understand. If you are confused, ask a question. There's no question that's stupid. Just understand that you will never look dumb for always searching for clarity. The last step that I think is very important to avoiding imposter syndrome is to maintain a solid, strong foundation. That can be family or friends or both. It's always important to remember that if you feel like you're displaced in an environment that you aren't too familiar with, or you feel like you're in an environment that doesn't necessarily align with everything that you know or you're comfortable with or you're familiar with, if you feel like you're kind of getting out of hand or losing touch of who you are at the core, always remember to go back to your foundation, get grounded again, speak to old friends who've been there forever, speak to family who's been there forever, speak to people who you know will remind you of the person that you truly are at the core, people who will remind you why you are where you are, how you got there, and why this whole thing was so important to you, why this whole career was so important to you, why going to school for this specific path was so important to you. Surround yourself with positive people, positive influences. Surround yourself with people who are never going to let you give up. Surround yourself with people who are never going to let you speak negatively towards yourself, who are always going to remind you that you deserve to be where you are, who are always going to remind you that this has always been your childhood dream, your teenage dream, your young adult dream, anything. Just always keep yourself around people who you know are going to love you and cherish you and pour an overflowing amount of love towards you, so that you can harness that love within yourself as well and cherish yourself and understand that you are deserving, you are worthy, you are worth it, and you are there and here for a reason. So guys, that is the end of my video on how to avoid imposter syndrome. I hope all of you got something out of it, even if it was one little thing. I hope this was able to help you. This video will always be here for you to come back to whenever you start to question yourself, question who you are, just to remind you that you will be okay, everything will be all right, and you are going to learn, whether it's today or tomorrow, that you belong there. No matter what you say to yourself that may make you feel like you are less than, it doesn't matter. You're here for a reason. So thank you guys for listening to this video. I hope it helped out, and I'll see you in my next one.